I believe the clerk's on the line. Joe, would you like to do the roll call?
I can do that. Jake, I'm just going to go read down. Jay Collins.
Present.
Danny Jorgensen. Danny Jorgensen or John Marsh. Julie Ham or Mark Hudson. Jonathan Scott.
Right here.
Nicole McCleary or Justin Willits.
Nicole McCleary, I'm here.
Thank you. Tony Garcia or Melissa Leinhard. Michelle Jenkins.
Hi, this is Michelle Jenkins. I'm here.
How you do? Mr. Williams.
Am I supposed to be somewhere?
I'm present, thank you.
Ask me to come in live.
Gina Evans or Danny
Yeah,
Valentine.
actually,
Gina Evans is on.
okay.
Go back to your office. I can tune in there, sorry.
No problem.
Leland Dicus or John Patrick. Bob
Leland's
Fry.
going to tune in a minute. He just
Okay, so Leland will be here in a minute. Bob Fry, Christina Kopp, or Anna Quinones.
Anna Quinones is on.
Thank you. Amber Dickinson, Charles Andrews, or Matthew Pleasant.
Matthew Pleasant's on.
Thank you. Is Troy Tinch? Let's see, Troy. Chris Dianudis.
Present.
Michael English or Abby Ahern. And Nicole Sutton or Griselle Cisneros.
Nicole Sutton is here.
And so is Griselle.
Michael English is here. Michael English is here. Thank you.
Michael English. Then I believe we have
anybody else.
And I believe we have a quorum.
Okay, I think we have a virtual quorum. So a couple of announcements. This is Rich Clarendon, pinch hitting for Sarah McKinley, who's out this week. Since we do not have a physical quorum present, we are going to go through we're going to hear the items and see if there are comments or objections, but we won't be able to vote on any action items. Apologies for that. With that, I guess we can move to the next item on the agenda, which I think is public comment. Let me just see if there is.
Yep. Yeah, do we know if there's anybody here today?
Being raised. Yeah, I don't see any hands being raised.
Okay. All right. The next item is approval of minutes, and we cannot vote today since we don't have the in-person quorum that Rich mentioned, but does anyone have any comments on the minutes from last month? Seeing none, we'll move on to what would have been the first action item. Again, we're not going to be able to vote today, but I'm sure in this case, FDOT would like to, I'm sure prefer to like to get comments back from us if we have any. So the first item is review and send letter of comments on the tentative work program. And I see that Roger Roscoe has turned on his camera. And Roger, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure. Hello, everybody. I'm Roger Roscoe. I am the government liaison for the Florida Department of Transportation here in Tampa, District 7. So it is that time of the year again where we go before the committees and the board and we will now be reviewing the draft tentative 5-year work program. So again, this is just the highlights. So if you're familiar with last year's program, you may not see a project in here again, not to worry. Still in there. Again, this is just the highlights for what we're going to be presenting over the 5-year fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2026. So Rich, whenever you're ready, if you could go ahead and get it into slideshow mode, and we'll get started here.
All right. Hang on a sec.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble bringing it up.
No problem.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a minute, see if I can bring it up and then come back. Okay, hang on.
Sure, no problem. We can get Mr. Williams or Gina to do a commercial or something.
I don't think you want that, for me at least. Maybe Mike.
Tell us how great the airport is and how many people are going to be flying in this week for Super Bowl.
Just wear a mask when you come to the airport.
Yep.
There you go.
Guess you're not going to have anywhere near as many private jets as you have in previous years.
No, I think we're expecting between 200 and 300, which is significantly lower. And obviously, two factors on the commercial side: one, home team advantage, and then the other one just being the lack of traveling right now.
I went to the NFL Experience late yesterday afternoon, evening, and they did a phenomenal job with the social distancing and the mask enforcement, and it was definitely worth. The Riverwalk is, gosh, just so beautiful, all lit up, and I certainly encourage everybody, to get down there at some point. You have to have a ticket, of course, to get into the experience, which is full, but there's so many more things to do down there, and it's, everybody's in conjunction, everybody in the county, the city, all the different organizations, and even the feds, since this is, I think, a national security event, I believe. I think Secret Service is overseeing it. So definitely encourage people to at least get down there and take a walk. Get out and exercise.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. See if I can get it into full screen.
No problem, Rich. You're doing fine.
Is it full screen on your end?
It's not slideshow yet, sir. It's still showing all the future slides.
Rich, on the bottom right corner, there should be like a icon next to the sliding thing. Display settings, there should be like the fourth one. If you press on that one, it should open up as a full screen slideshow.
Yeah, it's showing on my my other monitor, but it's not showing up. Wait a minute, hang on. Let me try this one. How about now?
Still the Hollywood squares.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, good job there. So,
all right.
Okay, next screen, please. Next page.
Did I go too far?
Nope, still got the cover page. There we go. Well, that's a 5-year work program. It includes many of the things you see on the screen here. We got public transit, seaport, airports, world famous airports, rail projects, transportation planning, intelligent transportation, highway designs, right-of-way acquisition, and construction activities. This is all part of the 5-year plan and the process. Next slide, please.
Next.
Yes, sir. And then every year on June 30th, the current year of the work program ends. And then on July 1st, which is year 2, that then becomes the new current year, part of the 5-year process. So as you can see where we're at here in year 2, fiscal year 2022, 23, 24, and 25. Next slide, please. And then at this time, a new 5th year is added, which is added to the program. And then funding is allocated to the next phase of our projects and programmed in the 4 prior years. The new projects are added in the new 5th year based on the Florida transportation goals, statewide programs, and local priorities such as the MPO. Next slide, please. This presentation is going to outline changes to the first 5 years of the work program and new projects in the 5th year. The proposed work program is then submitted to the Florida legislature, which will be later this year, for review, and then the governor will go ahead and take a look at it and review and sign it. And then we start all over again, and then we have an officially adopted work program. Next slide, please. Then after the governor signs it, as I indicated, the first year then is included in the state's budget. And then the work program is then officially considered adopted. And then we start all over again. Next slide, please. On the program development process, first we are in the process of we want to preserve existing programs. Then we want to cover any cost that's maybe increasing. And then finally, we add new projects. Next slide. And then in the program development process, you're going to see projects such as safety and security, system preservations, multimodal enhancements, operational improvements, and capacity improvements. Next slide. And these are based solely on the MPO priorities. You'll see a little icon on the projects coming up. Regional priorities, such as the TMA, which Hillsborough is a member of, or ASSIST, Strategic Intermodal System, and then FDOT priorities. Next slide. And the new projects that have not previously been included in the work program, you're going to see different phases here: PD&E, PE, right-of-way, construction, design build, CAT for grants, and then other selected projects of interest. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to get started here now. Hillsborough County. I-275 Western Interchange. This has been deferred out to fiscal year 26. And then Section 5, which is the Western Interchange. This is currently out of the 5-year work program, but there is that possibility this could be brought back in if additional funding becomes available. Next slide, please. And then we've got our MPO transportation planning funding on 26. We've got
Sorry.
MLK.
think I
That's
went-
okay. MLK Boulevard, the US 301 Turkey Creek. We've added a study, fiscal year 23. And then also the Dale Mabry to 40th Street. We've added a study also in fiscal year 26. Next slide, please. And then we have our HART projects, our HART replacement busing, and our bus stop capital repairs, and our van pool projects have also been added again to the program. Next slide, please. We've got a Fowler Avenue PD&E study. This has been added to fiscal year 22. And then we have from Florida Avenue to 50th Street. You can see here fiscal year PEs to 24. That's been advanced a little sooner, construction. And then this is a funding partnership between FDOT, Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, and the MPO. Next slide, please. And Bush Boulevard, Dale Mabry, 1.1 million has been added for right-of-way. And Twig Street from Nebraska Avenue, PE's been added, 24, construction's been added in 26. And this is a SIGB project. Next slide, please. US 41, this has been deferred construction from 24 to 25. This is a split out in half the projects. Down below, construction's been added in fiscal year 26. This is a new project, and this is a split from the previous project. Next slide, please. Then we've got Tampa Street, Highland Avenue, Florida Avenue from MLK to south of Waters. The PE and construction is currently outside of the tentative work program. And yet again, this could be brought back in depending on funding. And then we've got North Highlands Avenue, as you can see here from West Violet, same on this one. Construction is outside the tentative work program currently, but again, funding could bring this back in. Next slide, please. And we got two green spine cycle track projects here. As you can see, fiscal year has been advanced to 22, which is great news. Construction has been deferred on 22 to 25 on the 2A project. This is a local agency request due to scheduling issues. And then the Tampa Bypass Canal, the PE has been deferred out to 25. Next slide, please. And then we've got Park Road. The PE has been deferred out to 25. And Alexander at Jim Johnson, PE has been moved out to 25 also. And then Palm River Road at 41 and 50th Street, we've added PE to 22. Right away is at 23, and construction is now out at 25. And next slide, please. And we've got the downtown streetcar extension. PE is in 22. We've got HART. We got a new route on 11 in the West Shore area that's been added in 22. And then we have an I-4 truck parking facility project. Right away has been added in 22 on this freight project. And next slide, please. We've got Rio Street from Gray to Cypress, right away in 22, construction in 23. This is SIGP. And then we have the I-4 frame from West Shore to Polk County. Construction is now in 22. And State Road 60 from Channelside Drive to Dover, construction in 22. This is part of the I-4 frame cab network project. Next slide, please. And we have I-4 Mango. This is a way station. This is an on-ramp. Construction is from 23 now up to 22. It's been moved up. And then some auxiliary lanes on 50th to MLK Junior Boulevard. PE is now 22. And then the exit ramp on 75 to Tampa Bypass Canal. Construction is now out to 26. PE is in 23. Next slide, please. Then we have numerous lighting projects. As you can see here, we're all looking at fiscal year 22 up to 25 on Hillsborough County on the last bullet point there. So we're very excited about these lighting projects that are now going to be moving forward in the county. Next slide, please. And we've got 4 bullet points here on resurfacing, as you can see. PEs in the 22, construction's out on 24. Next slide, please. And we have numerous bridge repair and rehabilitations, Gandy Bridge, and Hillsborough County, we have various locations with some slab repairing that will be taking place between 25 and 26. And next slide, please. As you can see, we've got total funding over the 5 years of 1.1 billion. Everything, as you can see here, is broken down. Gives you a little very good overview on the money that will be set aside to each of these. Next slide, please. Here's our 5-year work program calendar, what's taking place. The 11th to the 15th, we had our public hearing. Certainly still encourage you to go out to the website. For the record, it's www.d7wpph.com. Right now, we're into the February timeframe here. So the MPO has until February 12th for any objections. And then sometime in February, the legislature and the Florida Transportation Commission will be reviewing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, July 1st, we now will have an adopted work program. Next slide, please. Well, that is our highlights. Again, thank you all very, very much for this opportunity. We appreciate any of your time that you've had out there. I know many of you have had the time to go out and take a look at the website. I believe it is still up. So certainly if you do have any additional questions, even though public comments are done at this point, we will certainly still, take what you have if you do have anything you want to share. And as always, please remember to walk wise, bike smart, and drive safely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Roger. Are there any questions from the committee? All right, don't everybody speak at once.
Hey, Mike, it's Gina. I actually do have a question for Roger.
All right, go ahead, Gina.
Thank you. Roger, do you guys have any idea of when you might know how much money the state DOT is going to receive from the federal stimulus package and how that money then would change some of these priorities?
Sure, that is a great question. We are watching that literally every day. We're in contact, central office, Justin Hall, who I know is on our call, the secretary. So we literally are waiting to hear. I don't believe, and don't quote me, and Justin certainly can pop in, I don't believe that a federal stimulus for any transportation projects has officially been presented yet. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but certainly once something does come in, we'll be more than happy to, when we know it, we'll be more than happy to go ahead and share that with all of you. So I wish I had more news on that, but you're asking a great question.
Mr. Chair, this is Justin Hall. Do you mind if I address that real quick?
You go right ahead, Justin. Thank you.
So Gina, that was an awesome question. So really there's two conversations at hand. There's the recovery funds that were approved, with the last bill that was passed. And what we're hearing is those funds will be delivered through two methods. One is through SU funds, which will come directly through the MPO process. So we'll utilize the MPO priority list and fund down the priority list that's established by the board, like we would with any other SU funds in conjunction with MPO staff. And then there's the second part of the recovery funds, which will be delivered to each district. And the numbers that I'm hearing aren't quite large enough to really help a project like the West Shore Interchange, because the dollar amount just isn't quite that big. But it will help with other projects in the district, trying to bring them back forward, some of the other deferrals. And then like Roger touched on, the additional stimulus, transportation stimulus or infrastructure stimulus that we've been hearing about, that'll be really where we see potential for advancing a larger project like the West Shore Interchange or Section 2 over on the other side of the bridge.
So Justin, would the objective be then, whatever money you may get like that, to try to bring projects back in that have been deferred? Is that kind of what I'm hearing? Assuming there's enough money to do it, of course.
Yeah, it's my understanding, from talking to both leadership here locally and in Tallahassee, that our first approach would be to bring projects back in that had been deferred, if that's possible based on the dollar amount. And then I think that if it's not enough to advance some of those larger projects, then it would be going to other projects that meet the requirements as far as system preservation or safety projects that have been identified.
Okay. Any other questions, Gina or anyone else?
So, Mr. Chairman, I would just remark that we typically prepare a letter of comments that we take to the MPO board, and if there are comments that this committee wants to make or share with the MPO board, we can certainly do that. What we would probably be commenting on this particular tentative work program, I mean, I think there's a lot that we can like about this. Obviously, we're disappointed to see some of the major projects, such as the West Shore interchange, move back in time. And we would certainly encourage the state to, restore funding for that project. There's a couple of others, such as the Causeway Boulevard, CSX overpass on US 41 that I think had to be moved out in time. We'd sure like to see that funding restored for that. I know DOT would probably in full agreement with us on that. And I guess my question for Roger and Justin would be, I mean, obviously funding is a moving target, and you have to go by the estimates that you're getting from the revenue estimating conferences. But when is the next time do you think you're going to get a funding update from the REC?
So, Roger, if it's okay, I'll tackle that one.
Yes, sir.
So we already got there's already been a REC since the initial one that led to the budget reductions, and the picture was a little bit brighter, but not quite as bright as I think everyone was hoping for. And from what I understand, here, and I think it's in 3 or 4 months, they're going to meet again. So I mean, as long as the picture continues to look better, and then obviously, some of the discussion of some of the different recovery funds, I think it's our take that these projects will be coming back forward. In fact, our opinion of the district is we are still working on all of them as if they have not moved. So as far as like on the US 41 CSX grade separation project at Causeway Boulevard, we're wrapping up the PD&E now. We have right-of-way acquisition funds next year. We're planning to move forward buying right-of-way and everything as if the project hadn't moved. Same thing with West Shore Interchange, same thing with Section 5 and Section 2. So, we're very optimistic at the district level, those projects will come back in. So we're just trying to be ready when they do.
If I could follow up with just one other question. You noted a couple, 3 projects, I think, were moved out of the program due to funding constraints. Were there any others that were in a similar vein moved out of the program that we haven't already discussed or been highlighted in the highlights?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe everything in the highlights we've covered, the reductions, and some of those deferrals in the highlights weren't even budget related. Sometimes it's just the project's not being ready. In fact, there's one project in the Heights that Roger covered that was a deferral, but that was more, we're working on the first phase of that project, and then really we see that as the second phase. And so with funding, we've had to move those around. But no, I believe they are all covered in the highlights, Rich.
Okay, thank you.
Rich, I think in general then, it seems like the comments of the committee are, we understand the funding issues that DOT and everybody's going through right now, right? And, you know, we would just like projects that have been deferred or pushed out to, when funding becomes available again, to be high candidates for, to sort of bring them back to their original, assuming they're production
Right.
ready.
Right. Well, there were a number of projects that were either moved out in the program or moved out of the program altogether, and I think the general sentiment is to try to advance those back to where they were, or if not sooner. So if that's the sense of the committee, that's what will reflect to the MPO board.
That was my sense, unless anybody disagrees on the committee. Okay, unless there's no other questions, I would say thank you, Roger and Justin. We appreciate you guys coming today and presenting to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Rich, for your help. I appreciate it. And thank you, Justin, for being available.
Just glad I could help.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Next item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the UPWP and TIP amendment. And Allison Yeh, I believe it's Allison, will be speaking to that one.
Hi, good afternoon. It is Allison. I hear you. Okay, Rich, are you going to pull the slide up, or do you want me to try to share my screen?
Well, it might actually be easier, given my ineptitude, for you to run it yourself. If Priya, if you could make Allison the presenter.
Sure. Let me see if I can share the screen with you.
Done.
All right. Are you seeing anything right? Not yet, right?
Yeah, not yet, Allison.
Are you seeing?
There we go.
Are you seeing yourselves or the?
There we go.
Hopefully, okay.
No, we have it now.
Okay, great. And you can hear me. All right. Hi again, everyone. I'm Allison Yeh with the MPO staff. And before I start, I just wanted to let everyone know that I have on the line with me our new grants coordinator who will be helping me with these amendments, Mr. Jamal Wise. He's on the line with us. And normally I would introduce you to him in person, but we're virtual right now. So, and also maybe Jamal can turn on his camera later. Also, I have Vishaka Raman with me who we work as a team. She helped put together the TIP amendments. So for questions with that, we'll be deferring to her. Let me get started. So this is a great segue from Roger's presentation because we are now going from the state work program to our MPO Unified Planning Work Program. And the currently adopted one is for fiscal year 21 and 22. And okay. Sorry, as many of you know, this is a 2-year work program. It follows the same fiscal year as the Department of Transportation. So this one goes from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, and outlines all our major planning tasks, coordinates various types of funding, MPO, HART, and DOT, and essentially allows us to comply with state and federal rules so that we can run our organization. So specifically for today, we have 3 broad items that we're trying to update or amend in the UPWP. One is the final allocation for our fiscal year 2021 Federal Transit Administration budget. That's the 5305 budget. And we do that for the work program and the TIP at the same time. They have to correspond. So that's why it's being done together. We're also updating the budgets for just in the PL funding, tasks 1, 2, 3, and 6. And we're doing some really minor text clarifications in tasks 2, 3, and 5. So I'm going to run through those with you in a little more detail. All right, now my screen's really tiny, but essentially for the PL budget, those are the blue circles you see on the left. We've had some more work being done in task 1, which is our compliance task and our administrative tasks, a lot due to the pandemic and things we've had to do to switch to a virtual environment. So we find ourselves spending more in that task. So we're shifting some funds in tasks 2, 3, and 6 to task 1. There's no change to the overall budget. We're just simply trying to match our expenditures and align with that. We also are doing that because we've had to move some funds we would have used for consultants over to staff. And I'll explain in a minute. And that's because we're going to see a decrease in our Federal Transit Administration funding. So that's the green circle you see at the bottom. We have about a 20% decrease in that budget for this fiscal year. And that is because what was formerly state and local match funds is, and everyone's suffering this, around the state, but because of the pandemic, the budget has been reduced by 20%. So what was that 20% is now kind of what's called a soft match or a state toll revenue credit, which is more in kind than actual funds. So we're making allowances for that in our budget and trying to shift over funds to account for that. This is the TAC comparative table. So everything we do in the Unified Planning Work Program, we must make it match in the Transportation Improvement Program. So what you see, those blue circles, the top chart is what it was before. So you see the 659,219 budget. When we decrease it by 20%, we are at the bottom chart, the red circle, 527,375. And we have some minor text changes. Then there's just clarifications. So we are adding to our Task 2 Transportation Disadvantage Planning section and products, the non-discrimination plan language. We are in Task 3 removing a specific consultant reference. So we always had data sharing analytics portal as an end product, but it named a specific consultant, and we don't always stay with the same consultant. So we're just clarifying that and making it a generic wording. And then for Task 5, we are adding the word comply with the Title VI non-discrimination plan and limited English proficiency plans in products and in the other parts of the text. And you have a rather detailed packet that shows these changes in more detail highlighted. And if there's any questions regarding that, I'm happy to answer this now or later on. And with that, I'm not able to ask for the recommended action because we don't have a physical quorum, but I do welcome any comments or suggestions you have, either regarding the budget adjustments and task changes to the Unified Planning Work Program or the Transportation Improvement Program, which is specifically changing the FTA budget. And that's all. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Are there any committee members that have comments or questions for Allison? Any questions? I know some of you are probably still, I'm not sure that we got everybody back, but anybody have any questions?
Well, if you have any comments, we are adopting this on February 10th with the MPO board. So I'm happy to receive anything from Rich or directly to me by email.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Allison. Appreciate your patience and kind of with the technical difficulties we had too.
No, thank you for your patience. Yeah, it's been tough for everyone. All right, thanks.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I do not have the agenda, so I am not sure what the next item is. Maybe, I don't know, did Rich make it back on?
We're going into status reports.
Yeah, I know that was all the action items, but does anybody know what the first status report was?
It's Griselle with the Department of Health.
Okay, perfect. Are we ready for that one? Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, I'm ready. However, I either need to be made the presenter or I need someone to upload my slides. Okay.
All right, can somebody make you the
Hold on.
presenter?
I think I just they just did that. Can you see my slides now?
There we go.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon,
Oh,
everyone. My name is Griselle Cisneros, and I am the Community Health Assessment Coordinator for the Department of Health in Hillsboro. I am going to take you through a brief trip here on how this community health assessment is produced. It occurs every 3 to 5 years. It's done all over Florida. Every Department of Health does their own, every county. The results are used to develop a community health improvement plan. Sorry about that. And it runs on a 3 to 5 year cycle. We use a model called the MAP model, which is mobilizing for action through planning and partnerships. I'm just going to do a very quick overview of what this model is. It has 6 phases, and really the point of it is to engage partners, engage community stakeholders, as well as the community at large. There are various steps to it, which involve 4 assessments. Some are done at the community level, other at the local public health system level. And once we put all of these together, then the health assessment comes together as a whole. The primary data that we collected were about 5,000 surveys, 25 from the community, 25 key informants interviewed, and 4 focus groups in both English and Spanish. Then there was a prioritization exercise on July 24th, where the results from this survey were presented, and the secondary data, which comes from sources such as Florida Charts and Census Bureau, were all presented. And here are some of the main just tidbits of information on our county from the primary data. The age, the majority of the respondents were between the age bracket of 25 to 34 years of age. That's the breakdown. Then we have, I'll go just back to this one for a minute. We had race and ethnicity. The majority, 46%, were white, non-Hispanic respondents. Household income, 43% were under $50,000 annual income. So these are just some key features that I picked to present to you today. One of the things that we were able to analyze were the high need zip codes, and I thought this was relevant to this group. These are some of the zip codes where 60% or more of households have $50,000 or less annual income. And as you can see, we looked at about 7 high need zip codes. From these zip codes, some of the questions that were included in the survey involved public transportation and whether it was easy to access or not. So for example, you see for 33614, only 40% of respondents were able to access public transportation if they needed it. Another question that was asked was good sidewalks for walking safely. Again, these are the high need zip codes that we identified. In 33604, only 33% of respondents said they had good sidewalks for safe walks. Food insecurity was also asked as a question. So we have 33613 and 33617. I'm sorry, this is food insecurity. So we have 33619 experiencing the highest food insecurity. These are just some other pieces of information from our county. For the United Way Alice report states that to live comfortably in Hillsboro, you need an income of at least $58,000 per year. 87% of survey respondents live in a household with a vehicle. 80% travel to work alone. Mean travel time is 27 minutes. So at this prioritization meeting, 150 people attended and they voted for the priorities for our county. These were the top 10 health problems that were identified at that meeting, the first one being behavioral health. This exercise was done in 2019. So I did want to say that every year, both the health assessment and the health improvement plan get updated. There is an annual progress report, and that will be available in March of 2020. This was from 2019. So obviously with all the changes that happened in 2020 and all the challenges we've met, these top priorities might have changed. Certainly behavioral health and access to health services are probably still at the very top. But this is just to give you an idea of what are the greatest concerns in our county. The next steps in our process involve creating a list of the existing assets, programs, and initiatives that are available. And we do this, again, in a very community-centered approach. We have a steering committee of different hospitals and community stakeholders, organizations that come together. We meet quarterly and when necessary monthly to look at what kind of progress we're making on our action plans, identify the assets that are available, and also monitor how we're doing on the timeline, whether these things are going to get done by the end of that 3 to 5 year cycle, which in this case ends in 2025. So we're at the beginning of the cycle. It's a great time to revisit our work plans and to update them to reflect the COVID challenges and everything else that we're dealing with. These 2 documents are available to everyone. They're at this URL. I will go ahead and add this when I think I got out of this, when I'm done with the presentation, so that you can all have this in case you need them. They are available to you on our website. I can also send hard copies to you and your organization. If you contact me, I'll be more than happy to do that. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions or comments.
All right, thank you, Griselle. Any questions or comments from the committee? This is not an action item, but certainly if there's any comments or questions, I'm sure Griselle would love to take them.
Hi, Griselle. This is Nicole McCleary from HART. I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation. I know that information about the population that has access to transit is very helpful to us, so we will definitely be looking at it. So thank you very much.
Sure, absolutely. And it really is a resource from the community to the community. And it's used by many agencies. It's a reliable source of data, grant applications. It can be used in many several ways. So thank you for that, Nicole.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Okay, well, thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate your presentation and look forward to hearing from you in the future. Rich, do you have the next item? I think there was one other item on the agenda. I don't have the agenda up here.
Yeah. So I apologize for the interruption. I'm not sure exactly where we came back in on, but were there any comments or discussion about the Unified Planning Work Program and TIP amendment? Just for my edification.
I do not believe that there were, Rich.
Okay. In that case, The next item is school citing task force coordination. It's my understanding, though, that this item has been withdrawn. And there will be a presentation, I think, next month on the Safe Routes to Schools program, if I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned for that. And then the following item is Port Tampa Bay Master Plan. I don't know if we have a presenter for that. It was listed as Matt Floyd, and I don't know if he's on the call or not.
Okay, Matt or anybody from the port, are you on the line?
If not,
yeah, maybe we just need to defer it to next month, since I think, you know, maybe some people were on trying to come back and maybe they just gave up.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I also wanted to mention that as part of the work program discussion that we had, we neglected to incorporate or include the Turnpike District's work program. And I just wanted to, if I could, go back and just show that. There's really only a couple, maybe one or two projects that are in Hillsborough County. So give me a minute. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay. All right, we got your email up there. I guess that's yours.
Yeah, probably. Okay, here we go. Here. Do you see the agenda again?
Yeah, we've got the agenda there now.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, how about now? Okay, so let me blow this up just a little bit. So this is for the entire district, but I think there's only one project for resurfacing for construction on the extension, I guess, of the Suncoast Parkway that's shown there in yellow, going over to Dale Mabry Highway. I'll just scroll upwards to the beginning of this handout. So you can see there, resurface the Veterans Expressway spur. I think that's basically it for Hillsborough County. There are some projects to the north of us, and then some minor projects, ITS upgrades, miscellaneous. If there are any questions, I think we do have a representative from the Turnpike District on the line. Josie, I don't know if you wanted to say anything. He may have dropped it.
The resurfacing is the only project that we have in Hillsborough County for the Veterans Expressway spur.
And Rich, just one sort of related question. And I don't know if where this would show up, but what about the THEA's program? Would that be covered in this, or would that be a separate thing?
So typically the tentative work program covers all the FDOT projects and the Turnpike Enterprise projects. The THEA projects would be listed in the next TIP, but they're sort of a separate section, and we will be coordinating with Bob Fry and his staff get those project details for the next edition of the TIP.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from the committee?
Okay.
Okay. Hearing none, I think.
If I could go back, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just for a moment, let me get back to the packet. There we go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we, any old business or new business? I believe that would be the next item.
I do have a couple of items of new business, unless there's something under old or unfinished business that somebody has.
Nope, go ahead, Rich.
Okay. So one relates back to the Transportation Improvement Program. We are starting up again for the next TIP. The process that we've used for the last few years is that we will be visiting with each of the jurisdictions and agencies to solicit, to review your priority projects and solicit any new priorities. I believe Cheryl Wilkening on our staff is trying to set those meetings up. I know we've got one already established for with county staff, I think for later this week. And then I think we're going to use the monthly coordination meeting we have with Hart to go over the TIP priorities at that time. But the other jurisdictions, I think we're and agencies we're trying to set up basically 1 hour meetings to go over those. So just be on the lookout for those meeting invitations from Cheryl. So that's one item. And then the other item I wanted to quickly mention is that we have a pending change to our bylaws that has to do with committee makeup. The school district has let us know that due to their staffing, they'd prefer to be on the Liberal Roadways Committee and shift their membership from the TAC to the Liberal Roadways Committee. And I think they'd prefer to only have to attend one set of meetings a month, which I certainly can't blame them for. So if that gets approved by the MPO board, their membership would go to the Liberal Roadways Committee. So I just wanted to mention that for the TAC's benefit.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Any questions from anybody about any of that? Okay. Any other new business or old business? Okay.
I don't have any. I certainly appreciate and apologize for the technical glitches. I'm glad everybody who's back online was able to get back online.
Yes. Well, I think we've all seen sort of crazy things happen in this, on these different calls that we're on in the pandemic era, but okay, with that, I believe we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.